welcome everybody. What a great show it is. And as you can tell, we are on the road as usual in middle of central Pennsylvania, not too far from our next guest that's getting ready to come on. Is 3D printing a sustainable method of offsite construction? Today, we welcome Michael Wood, CEO of Black Buffalo, with a sneak peek behind the scenes in their new 3D printing factory in East Stroudsburg, PA, where they will be 3D printing for residential, multifamily, and commercial use. We're also going to learn about some of their other partner companies, Big Sun Holdings. That's right, HN Inc., a Hyundai family. Big Sun Holdings Group USA is a holdings company. HN Inc. is the ultimate parent, founded by founders of Hyundai Group, Dae-Sung Chung. Hopefully I said that right. But we can't bring you any of these great innovations, innovators, products, unless we have our sponsors. So a big shout out to Forward Solutions Group for allowing us to deliver these examples of construction innovation. Forward Solutions Group is helping others to succeed where others have failed. Learn more about Forward's recent acquisition of Moducore, an ERP solution for offsite manufacturing. Reach out to Ben Hershey, Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com, and Howick Ltd. That's right, we just got back from London. We had an awesome, innovative trip over there with them. Howick has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and produces innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the U.S. and the world. You want to check out their new machine buyer's guide for offsite modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Visit their website at howickltd.com. All right, so let's get into this. Without further ado, we're going to start off with Mr. Michael Woods, and then Peter Cooperman is going to be joining us in the factory. And no, he's not related. He has an MAN on the end of that name for a quick tour and inside peek. Michael, how you doing, man?
Good, Dave. How you doing, buddy?
Dude, I'm excited. Super excited. I love when I saw you down at IBS and we got to do a little bit of a show in the rain under a tent, unfortunately. But now we're going to be in PA for a while, so I'm hoping we're going to get invited to come do some filming of some 3D printing at your new factory.
You're invited anytime that you can make it out here. It's a great new facility. We bought about 108 acres. We bought the Stroudsburg Poconos Regional Airport. We've since closed the airport down. We're temporarily in the airport hangar, which is just a fantastic spot to be 3D printing both inside and outside. And 20 of these acres we've already designated for our Black Buffalo 3D factory that will be doing about 15 printers per month that we'll be able to supply globally. And that will start to break ground this fall. So we're psyched to be here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so let's jump into this. You know, I just hopefully I can fly my private jet in there someday if the runway is open and someday I can afford one. But you know, you're looking at 3D printing, you know, a little bit differently and how you're approaching this with the holding company, Hyundai and everything. So why don't you go ahead and why don't you give us a brief overview of the company, the structure, what the game plan is, because we want to know everything about you, right? We want from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. And we did this last time on the show, so we're not going to do it again. But give us the update of where you are, where you're headed, and then let's hop into it.
Sure, you got it. And you're right. We do look at 3D printing a little bit differently. So first thing is, we're not a builder. We are a construction technology company. So our clients are the builders or the developers or the governments that are doing different type of residential, commercial, or infrastructure projects. And they're moving from traditional methods of wood-based, CMU block-based to 3D-based construction. So we do this globally. We're a very large global firm now. Our parent company in Korea is called HN Inc., which is part of the Hyundai family. Our founder, Chung Dae-Sun, is the grandson of the original founder of Hyundai 3 generations ago. So obviously, heavy equipment is in the blood of what we do. Here in the US, we established a global accelerator firm that we take all the technology from Korea. We usually take a pilot or a prototype. We then bring it here to the US, we commercialize it, we mass produce it, and then we distribute it throughout the globe. And that's exactly what we're doing with our 3D company, which is called Black Buffalo 3D. And Black Buffalo 3D is a multi-tier company to essentially provide to builders and developers a total turnkey solution to get started or continue to develop their structures with 3D. What does that mean? So we concentrate on two things. We concentrate on the mechanical engineering. We make the machines. We make the robot. We make them smarter. We make them easier to use, and we make them cost effective, right? Secondly, and most importantly, we concentrate on the material science. So we're leaders in the world now in terms of standardizing and coding the material science that is the most important part of the output of what you're building with these 3D printers, i.e. the concrete walls, the concrete structures, right, that we're printing. We are the only company to have passed all the tests for the AC 509. This is the International Coding Council's ICC, which is the largest regulatory body for all commercial, residential, and commercial, industrial building codes throughout the world. Their code is called the AC 509 for all 3D concrete printed structures in 3D. We are the only ones that passed it, Dave. We're beyond everybody. You're going to see a huge announcement this month in July. Finally, the 3D industry has a standardized product to be able to use when builders are going for permits and zoning, etc. We already got it done for you.
So you're telling me that out of all the 3D printers in this country or even around the world, you are actually listed as approved in the code and standards, so they can just go right out and use you, and it's as of spec, right?
Coming out this month from ICC, and we've passed everything. We released the material in May with our partner here in North America called MAPE. Many builders, of course, know MAPE admixtures and mortar mixtures, etc. MAPE distributes it for us. They make it, bag it in their 30,000 or 3,000 pound bags. They ship it, they certify it, lock and key. As mentioned, we're providing a total turnkey production ability for 3D printing. The machine, the pump, the silo, the material, all gets delivered to your site. Just add water, right? That's about all you're doing. Just add water once our machine and our material gets there.
So it's like my instant oatmeal.
A little bit.
I mean, that's kind of what you're saying, right? Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's amazing. So, Michael, who's your customers? Let's talk about that. Who are your typical customers for those listening out there that would be interested in this?
Yeah. So our typical customers are contractors, subs that are doing framing, right? Your developers that both on a residential side and a commercial side are developing a large property for 50 homes, 100 homes, 2 distribution centers, a whole big tech center, whatever it may be. We've got all kinds of customers throughout the globe. As well, it's governments that have everybody throughout the world has a problem with housing. Forget about just being affordable. Having enough houses for their citizens is a big problem. So governments are buying these within their projects, or governments are buying these and demanding they're being used by the builders. As an example, take Saudi Arabia or the UAE, right? Both areas now are mandating 25% of all homes are 3D printed from now in the UAE and starting in 2025 with Saudi, right? So you've got huge scale projects going on. One of our best clients here in the US, our first big residential client, is Allquist 3D. And they just announced in May the largest 3D residential community being built in Virginia, in Pulaski, Virginia, and they're exclusively using our printers and our material.
That's amazing. So, I mean, you're looking, obviously, the UAE, those areas, that's desert. Does that have anything to do with it being 25% of their homes printed?
Yes, because it's the cost and the speed, right? That's the biggest benefit of using 3D technology, right? It's the speed of the printer. We're printing right now, Dave, at almost a foot a second. 250 millimeters, which is 9.8 inches a second. That equates to doing 1,000 square foot space, 10-foot high walls, all 4 walls and inside walls in approximately 22 hours. Crazy fast, right? So all these governments need not only the speed of getting this done, but the cost, right? On average, it costs us in the US about $26 to $27 a square foot to build. You compare that with CMU block with stucco, that's 47 to 48 bucks a square foot. So we're a good 40% cheaper. We're building in 2 days something that takes at least 2 weeks with normal traditional way of building. So your time frame is spectacular, and that's where you get a lot more efficiency of costs. Our machines, right, are a gantry, and you're going to see this with Pete, gantry. The bottom railing, what is called the y-axis that you level onto the ground,
right?
That's a train track. So people our clients buy more train track, and then you just keep moving the printer down the line. So you print house 1, print house 2, print house 3, and you never move the printer. The printer moves itself. So your efficiency of scale, speed, and cost are just totally enhanced when the projects get larger and larger.
Yeah, for sure. So one of the things that somebody may be concerned with is sustainability. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? They hear concrete, right? How sustainable is what you're doing as these builders and general contractors are out there looking at this? That's a big buzzword. They got to pay attention to it. It's what's happening in the world.
Mm-hmm.
How do you address that?
Yeah, this is so uber important to us, right? The sustainability factor, because think about what this is. The construction industry is 14% of global GDP. It is the number 1 industry in the world. Employs over 8% of all employable individuals throughout the world. It's the largest employer, right? Concrete as well. Don't know if you know, it's the second most consumed substance on the planet, second only to water being number 1. That's crazy, right? And it's only going to be consumed more because we're building more and more every year throughout the globe. Unfortunately, concrete is 8% of all greenhouse global gas emissions by itself. 8%, one material, second most consumed material. So why is it so important for sustainability? Well, that's pretty easy to see. So how do we fix that? 1, we've already in our material is called the Planet Top 3D material that you can get through MAPE. You can Google it anytime. We put more potash into our current material to decrease the amount of Portland, because ordinary Portland cement in that concrete is the main culprit for that greenhouse gas emission. So we're already decreasing the greenhouse gas emissions in our concrete. That was phase 1 with a standardized coated material, which is called Planet Top 3D again. That material's out there. What we're doing next, Dave, is we're working with the largest hemp manufacturers and milling companies here in the US and in the globe, as well as directly cooperating with different universities and with the National Hemp Association here in America to create the first 3D printed load-bearing hempcrete, which is going to change the fibers from polypropylene or plastic. We're going to change the fibers to hemp fibers, which are some of the strongest in the agricultural world. We're going to replace Portland with lime is our goal, and get our material as close to net zero as possible. Yeah. And that's just the material side. The big thing that we're doing right now as an industry, when you're 3D printing, you're almost eliminating the waste on a job site, which is a huge sustainability factor, right? Less waste, less trash, less carbon. So on average, every job site, regardless, residential, industrial, infra, doesn't matter, 30% of all materials are wasted on a job site. Drives us batty, right? So with 3D, you have almost zero waste. We have one 44-gallon jug or garbage can per day of waste. And most of that material, and we'll tell you what we're doing material up here in PA, we're putting in the potholes on the street. So we're saving actually the town the time to come to fix the potholes. So we're using, seriously, we're using our material for molds, for different activity that we can take the concrete and use it somewhere else. So, and we are filling the potholes up here for the town.
Well, listen, I mean, it's absolutely crazy that we can't build without waste anymore.
Absolutely.
The industry's so far behind, and we say it all the time on this show. And Jerry McCaughey's on, I see, watching as well, and he says it. I mean, we're literally, sending, spaceships autonomous spaceships to Mars and back with nobody on it. And we can't build a house without a 30-yard dumpster and change orders.
Yeah, come on.
What about NASA? Yeah, you think they get up there when they're hooking in a new piece of the space station up there and say, "Oh, well, it doesn't fit"? It doesn't make sense. So I love that concept behind it. And I also love the idea of the hemp, right? So hemp's really making a lot of waves, not just in what you're doing in concrete.
That's right.
We're talking about in the wood industry as well, you know, mixing it with fiberglass and other things to really give it that strength and rigidity. So I think it's pretty interesting that you're finding ways to mix it with the concrete, and I'm assuming it's kind of like they used to put the fiberglass in the concrete, right, to tie it together. So the hemp would be working in the same format, but it's sustainable, and you can grow it in any ditch around the world.
That's exactly right, and it's really millimeters, right? Basically, hair thickness of the fibers that we use now with the polypropylene. The other part of the science that we're working on, and Virginia Tech is doing a good job of this, is there is a chemical reaction. Remember, that hemp's dead, of course, those fibers, but while they were growing, it's one of the biggest carbon sequesterer crops out there. Say that quick 3 times, right? It's one of the biggest crops to pull in the carbon into the ground while it's growing. But when it's dead, and that chemical reaction with the lime that we will replace polypropylene with and the hemp fibers, the science out there is actually showing that there's a small residual sequestration of carbon from that concrete after it cures. So we might get a small sequestering from that concrete, from that chemical reaction, for the life of that building, for the life of that structure. Think about if that happens. That would be really cool.
You know, it would be really cool. And listen, concrete structures can last forever, right? It's not like wood, you know, you get 100 years out of it. Unless you take care of it, you can get much longer. But I mean, there's another factor to look at too, is the longevity of what a concrete structure provides. Before we go to Peter in the factory here, you were also working on a way to do insulation with your printing. Have you gotten any further with that?
Yeah, the insulation's really come along really well. We've got some more tests going on at Intertech in York, Pennsylvania. We're doing some testing, not just for insulation, but also sound barriers, because hotels, you know, 2, 3, 4 stories hotels want to be built in 3D now. So the insulation for us has really come a long way. First off, the load, you have 2 load-bearing walls, and you'll see it with Peter. You got a 2-inch inside wall, 2-inch outside, and a 4-inch hollow core. That hollow core can be filled with multiple different things. But if you vapor gap it, you're already at an R25, which code is R19 or R20, depending on where you are. So you're already increasing by 25% the R factor, which decreases by 50% the average utility cost of whomever lives in that structure, right? So it's a really big factor. And then, of course, if you fill it with either hempcrete or just with ready mix or whatever, it doesn't need to be load bearing. You increase it up from there. So yes, the insulation's good. One other thing I did want to mention, you know, you were asking about clients. One thing I forgot to mention on who our client is. The biggest issue, one of the biggest issues in the 3D printing world is, how do I afford these machines? Right? These machines are $800,000. How do I buy this when I'm just getting started? And it's kind of a big risk to me as well to put almost $1 million into a machine, and I'm still testing on my first thing. So we created the first financing company under Black Buffalo with our partner Xerox. I think everybody's heard of Xerox. So Xerox is the financing agent, and we are now offering rent to own, straight 3 months, 6 months renting options, or if you purchase it, you can finance it just like you do a car, right? So you now have the ability to rent this for a certain amount of time. And if you rent it and you don't give it back, you say, Mike, I love it, I'm not going to give it back to you, which has happened to us, then 50% of your rental cost during that time goes to your purchase price. So we're trying, again, total turnkey solution. Buy it, just add water. Rent it, just add water. Figure out what's best for your model.
Well, I think that's what's great about what you're doing, right? You're providing that finance arm, you're providing the training, and you're providing the equipment itself that has been tested. And the other side of this is it's very transportable.
Yeah, very transportable. We've got, you know, this comes in just a couple, cargo containers on a semi. it gets delivered. We build this in 6 hours now, Dave.
Right.
I mean, they go up in 6 hours, no time. But I'll tell you what we're bringing. We should do another call in the fall. We're bringing Optimus Prime. So we've created a transformer, which will be self-propelled with a remote. You'll be able to drive it straight over wherever you're going to print, push a button, and it will erect itself in 1.5 hours. Your printer is ready to go. And it comes on one truck, one flatbed truck.
Come on. A transfer? Nope. Does it unload itself from the truck too?
Forklift off the truck. Unfortunately, it doesn't jump off. But forklift off the truck, get the wheels on the ground, and you move it around, put it exactly. So it's 1 story high. Our commercial printer is 3 stories high, but this one will be 1. You print your house, you just drive this out and to the other foundation. Drive it out and to the other foundation. Very cool.
I love it. I love it. All right, listen, everybody, if you're just joining us, we are talking with CEO Michael Woods, Black Buffalo 3D Printing. So hit that like and share button. And if you're not following Black Buffalo, you're wrong. You should be following them. You should be following Michael. And we're going to take you in just a moment here to Peter Cooperman, who's in the factory, to give you an inside scoop of their new facility that they have there, which is going to be a lot of fun. And for us, we're just back from our London trip, which was great. We're going to have all kinds of new videos coming out showing you what's happening there. And one of them is with one of the largest steel manufacturers that's out there. And they're doing some amazing stuff. Tata, biggest steel maker in all of England. And we are heading to Switzerland in August. And you might see me in Utah this month as well. So we got a lot going on, a lot coming at you, all about innovative, just like Michael and his team is doing as well. All right, so why don't we hop into the factory here and see what Peter's doing? What do you think?
Let's do it.
Yeah. We're gonna have to get him a Dave Cooper live hat, though. You know, he's wearing this Black Buffalo hat thing. I don't know.
I told him not to put that on, Dave.
Hey, Peter, what's happening, buddy?
What's going on, Dave? Great to talk to you again. We'll see how audio it is as I'm walking around. It's a little windy here, but I wanted to show the breadth of our new property here. We purchased a 106-acre property, the former Poconos East Stroudsburg Airport, where we're going to spend some time and money erecting a state-of-the-art facility for assembly and training. But it's really awesome to be out here. While we're getting set up, though, some of your viewers, some of our followers might recognize the printer right behind me. That's our second prototype, the Nexcon 1-1. That's a 4-story tall printer that we basically, for 2 years when we were in Elizabeth, New Jersey, spent time having over 200 companies, different governments, different representatives from all over the world, kind of pick apart our prototype and tell us what they liked, what they didn't like, and, you know, really study everything. So to Michael's point, as we were investing time and money into the material, we were also doing a ton on the mechanical side. And when you saw us down in Orlando at the International Home Builders Show, we had our Nexcon 1G, which is our commercial model, on display. And I'm going to try not to go too fast so it doesn't get too choppy. But we actually have that, and just showing the modularity of it, we have it configured to half height inside the old airplane hangar, which is a very cool venue to come. So we'll be doing our trainings, we'll be doing assembly and manufacturing out of this facility as well. And then today we had a bunch of clients in, so we just did a live print. This is around, 2.5 hours of printing, and we have some other sample walls and things that they could take a look at and kind of poke around. But you can see, our print quality is a factor of our material, and all of the investment that we made in not just the machine, but also the material. And today is a humid, sticky day. The sun's been coming in and out, and we have all the bay doors and everything open. So we're doing a lot of testing inside, outside, but you can see extremely clean print. And something early on in our videos, we always talk about the layer. And when you're increasing from one side to the other, a lot of printers are still struggling with the bump up and the step. So I just want to show your viewers that this right here is the step up. So we've been doing a ton We also have architects, and we've been staffing up rapidly. So when our clients buy a printer or a machine, we actually have our architect look at it and see how you can add different design features, because people are still thinking traditional. They're still thinking rectangles. They're still thinking just regular walls. But there's no reason why you can't actually make the facade a lot prettier, either on existing architecture by doing panels, or as you're printing a building on site and just customize everything from the ground up.
So the 3D printing allows you to do more than just 90-degree angles, is what you're telling us.
Exactly. I mean,
you
anything you
can
can
get very
do.
intricate.
Yeah, as intricate as you want, and there's so much flexibility in the design. And what you could do now, lighting has become really popular in the last few years. You make a subtle curve or a supple alternating bump out layers, and it looks like a really high-end building for a lot less money.
Sure. Walk me through. So we have two rows of the concrete, roughly what, 2 inches, and then what, about 5 inches in between, and then you actually have the metal rebar, or the bent rebar, right? Or what do you call it? Almost like hangers in there, and that's what ties it together and gives it a structural integrity.
Yep. So this is a horizontal truss reinforcement branded Durawall in the U.S.
Yep.
So basically every 5 to 7 layers, we would put that in, and that adds tensile strength. So you guys touched on the fibers, and we do have different additives and components in our mix. But just by going there, we've been posting publicly leading up to our announcement about the AC 509, a bunch of the different tests that we've done with Intertech and all the different building codes that exist for 3D printed walls. And we'll be releasing all of the results on that. But there's one crush test I like in particular that got up to 83,000 pounds before the wall cracked.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. 83,000 pounds. I mean, and what was like the square inch or square foot on that pound?
You want to go over the cure rates, Michael?
Yeah. So the PSI on our walls in 7 days we cure to about 6,000 PSI, and then in 28 days, which is your normal cure time, we cured about 10,100 PSI, which is almost high performance concrete. Compare that, Dave, to a CMU block. CMU block is never more than 3,000 to 3,500 PSI. So we're 3 times the strength of block. So your seismic, your wind, everything else is totally taken care of. And this build right here, this was a custom build from a client in Japan who flew over today from Tokyo to visit with us for most of the morning. And they just left before the show started. And they wanted a little bit of a wider opening to put more material in between, and also pull up their plumbing and their tubing in between. So here in the US, we wouldn't normally be that wide. We'd be 2 inch, and 4 inch maximum. So we have a total of 8 inches. And that matches the width of CMU block. So architects don't really need to change all their CAD designs.
Well, and I think people need to understand, right? At 2,500, like you're saying with the CMU block, I mean, even if you're doing poured concrete on site, you're lucky if you're getting 3,000, 3,500. And when you get over 5,000, correct me if I'm wrong, that's when your walls become watertight.
Yep.
Right. So if you're pushing that 6,000, once this does cure, 6 to 10,000, I mean, there's nothing penetrating it.
Yeah, exactly right. And also somebody just asked a question, what about the metal rebar? Why are you still using it? Yep. We use that Durawall, which is pennies. I mean, that it's pennies and it's easy. You just place it down and you also go over the top of it and it becomes part of the wall. Right. We use that, like you said, we use it for some linear stability. But for your compressive vertical stability, with this as strong as this is, you don't even need rebar for the first floor. You only need rebar once you go to 2 floors and above. So there's another huge cost savings, is elimination of some of your rebar.
What's the approval for with the codes? Is it for 1 story or is it for multi-story?
For the code, it's up to 4 stories high.
Up to 4 stories high. And that machine outside can go 4 stories, or do you have to set it up differently?
Our machines are like an erector set, right? So the bottom axis that Pete was showing you is the Y-axis. Vertical is your Z. Horizontal, where the printer head is your X. each one of those come component wise. Each one comes with 2 different pieces.
Sure.
You can extend the Y, as I mentioned before, to go as long as you want. You can extend the width by buying another X-axis, and you can go higher than 4. You'll have to get a local exemption off the AC 509, but you can go higher, right? So we're a total erector set, absolutely 100% customizable to the design of the build.
Yeah, I mean, you just keep going up like a crane goes up.
Yeah, and you can see the rails in this shot, I think, but really the only restriction is the width that the nozzle's on, but we're still, we're constantly engineering it. Most common configuration that we're selling right now is for a 1,600 square foot print area, up to 3 stories tall, but it's very easy to add rails along that Y-axis on the ground, which is, like Michael said, like a train track. So if you do have flat adjacent land, a lot of our customers are doing this to print developments on site, on demand. So you can, tell us how you need the printer built, what your build is, and we'll be able to make it for you with this modular design.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we have Greg Ugaldi tuning in, who's the immediate past chairman of the NAHB. You guys were just down on the mall in Washington for the Innovative Housing Showcase. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we had prior engagements and weren't able to do that because we were in London. But how was it for you guys?
It was fantastic. I mean, for us, it was just wonderful. The HUD is so into finding solutions to build affordable homes for Americans. Right? I was so impressed with Secretary Fudge and her assistant or deputy secretary, which have really embraced 3D as an industry. Yep. And it was an honor for us to be invited there to be able to attend. We had so many people coming by. We had builders, we had investors, we had people that say, hey, can you build one of these in my backyard? Well, for one print in your backyard, probably not as cost effective. But for building larger structures and more homes, et cetera, it definitely is. It was just great to be there and to be able to show Americans that, look, help is on the way in terms of affordability for your home. But again, not just affordability, all of these second and third cities where so many of your first city migration has happened in the last few years because of COVID. You've got a mass exodus that's happened from your large cities into smaller cities, quality of life. You're not commuting as more, you're doing more home versus work, blended work styles. So they need houses, not just affordable houses, they just need houses, period. So help is on the way. HUD is doing a great job trying to find wonderful, cost-effective solutions that go up fast with high quality in the United States for Americans. It's great.
Yeah, and I know we haven't talked about this. Greg had a question. Is most printing done inside or is outside economically efficient as well?
Yeah, all of our test printing is outside, right? The only time that we print inside is if we're doing like we did today. We did a couple hours of a print as a test for a visitor, then we do it inside. But everything for us is always outside. That's why we have a printer out and we have a printer in. Economically, there definitely is a difference outside. If we're in Saudi Arabia and you're 110 to 120 degrees in the daytime, you're not printing at that time. Yeah. Or you have a lot of tents and you have reflective tape to go. So you're printing nighttime, right? You're just doing a night shift rather than a day shift. So the weather is a big component. Of course, if it's raining, nobody's doing anything on a construction site unless the roof's already on, then you can be inside the house. But no, normal weather that would impact a normal job site impacts us as well. It's no difference.
Perfect. All right. Appreciate the question, Greg. We have Al Turnison. We talked about this just a few moments ago. Al, it's good to see you. He was asking about using steel components, that structural strength. Why are we still using that in 3D printing? But we did discuss that just a few moments ago.
Yeah. One story, no issues anymore. 2 stories and above still required for code.
All right, Peter Molinar, no stranger to passive house and all the fun stuff when it comes to sustainability here. To construct high performance and energy efficient buildings, the cumulative area of the exterior surfaces need to be minimized and shaped as close to a rectangular cube as possible, which he's right. Yeah. To gain the most efficiency out of anything, right? Out of the house and what have you. So, all right.
The other side of that, though, Dave, is that the rectangular square, absolutely, energy efficiency is there. but the feeling of a human being in a absolute square actually brings down their happiness, right? That's all proven. Curves, etc., actually help a person to be happier. You get more space. It feels spacier. It feels bigger than a rectangular box. So that's one thing to also take into account is a person's well-being, not just the energy efficiency.
Right. So what haven't we touched on today that you want to make sure everybody knows, or did we hit it all?
Boy, we hit a lot of things, Dave. You know, the biggest issue for those of you that are looking to, you know, get into this, buy these, rent these, etc. It's a supply issue versus demand. We've had so many requests this year beyond any of our expectations. We expected to probably sell or rent 20 or so of these this year. We're already over 50. We were producing 5 a month starting this year. We've increased our production already up to 10 per month, and we still are not going to be able to keep up and fill every order this year. So what we are telling everybody, if you're interested in this, learn it now, get in line quickly. I'm sure that your jobs are 3 months out, 5 months out, etc. So it's not an issue. You don't need it tomorrow, but realize that it's probably going to take about 4 to 5 months, which I think is pretty fast still. 4 to 5 months on our supply chain to get you a printer from when you order it.
So, you know, it's a good thing you bought an airport. So you have all this space to grow.
Exactly right, sir.
Right? So that means there won't be much room for my runway for my private jet one of these days.
You're close. You can bring a helicopter in here anytime.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You may find me up there this weekend. Who knows? Yeah, well, listen, Greg, I am sitting in the front of a big moving truck because we are heading back to Pittsburgh, getting ready to set up a new studio there and enjoy the non-mobile life for a while. Planes, trains, and automobiles. Actually, I think I'm traveling more now that I'm going to be stable than what I was, but that's where we're headed right now. So awesome, guys. I think you're doing amazing stuff. We're going to get deeper in some future shows on the investment side, the modular side, and some of the other things that you guys are cooking up behind the scenes. So I really look forward to discussing that further. I also look forward to being up there, hopefully, when we break ground to talk about how we're going to build this new facility, because I have a feeling you're going to do some cool stuff there.
We're going to 3D print it. You can bet that.
You're going to 3D print the whole facility.
We're going to 3D print 150,000 square foot factory.
Is that the first time that's ever been done?
I think so.
I think so.
I think so. Yeah. There's been a lot of things done globally, a lot in China, of course. I don't want to make a definitive statement, but we'll say it's a definite maybe.
A definite
the first one in East Stroudsburg for sure.
Definitely the first one.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine there's too many of them out there that are that big. So hopefully we can be the first ones to show that and talk about it here on Dave Cooper Live. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, gentlemen, we're a little bit over on time. I want to thank both of you for taking time out of your day. Michael, Peter, you guys always take our calls and always share information, and you're always willing to help others. And that's what we love so much about having you on the show. You're here to make the world a better place, and that's what's exciting.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll come right back to you. And for the rest of you out there, we appreciate you tuning in today. We got a big week coming up. We're moving, like I said. So as you can see, we're in limbo, but it's working out just fine. And also, we have just reached a new milestone. Our channel is being watched 5,000 hours a month at the moment. 5,000 hours a month. That's 5,000 plus shows a month of our channel being watched. So we're super excited about that. And everybody out there, that's just YouTube, which we just kind of started. And it's just fun to see the people that are gaining the knowledge on what we're doing. So stay tuned, and stay tuned for us heading over to Switzerland as well. We're going to bring you all kinds of amazing content from there. And who knows, maybe we'll find some 3D printers over there as well. Maybe we'll find Michael Woods and Peter Cooperman over there.
We are your groupie now, Dave. So we'll probably be there.
I know. I'm waiting for the golf hats, right? I want the golf hats, I want the golf score, and I want the golf clap, fellas. But hey, there's good golfing where you're at too. All right, listen, we got to wrap it up here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today. Michael, Peter, don't go anywhere. We'll come back to you right after our outro. Everybody else, we'll see you Friday. Have a great one. Bye now.
Thank you.